A tether is basically a foreign coon.
Okay.
That's the best way to describe it.
Okay.
A coon with a passport.
Okay. Do they have to have an accent or just?
No. A lot of them, that's what makes them a good tether.
So real quick, I think y'all get what he said, the whole meaning of this tether thing.
Yeah.
Y'all think this byword is necessary?
Yeah, you call them that. I mean, I don't really care, but yeah, that's what they are. They telling you they're attaching themselves to you for a negative purpose to try to, like you said, to undermine you. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of black people in that space because they say they black, they can speak, but then you do a little research and like, well, you're black, but you're not your family didn't go through what I went through, so you don't. That's why you don't feel a need to or care, and you don't say that.
Candace identifies as Caribbean. Because of people who are there from like St. Thomas.
Yeah, she don't identify as black. She definitely identifies as Caribbean, descended from the islands.
Caribbean, yeah. She claimed Caribbean, but she does have a lot to say about black.
That's retarded because I mean, if you claim to be Caribbean, I mean, you can exclude yourself from this conversation, but I mean, shit, y'all went through the same thing down there.
Oh, real?
I mean, shit, slavery.
Interesting.
Slavery.
Oh, go ahead.
Like people like. Slavery in the Western world was all the same all over. You know what I'm saying? It's like, shit, your people came from that shit too. So, I mean, you can't just be
Transatlantic.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just exclude yourself from us.
She excludes herself because she believes her father came here and worked hard and didn't have no government assistance. He lied to her.
Yeah. That's what she would say, but I think she's doing it because she's getting paid by people to tell her to say that.
I mean, that makes it even worse.
Of course it does. Of course it makes it worse.
I mean, shit, I can't really sit up here and try to question her fucking logic. I mean, Candace is Candace.
All right, so what's up, everybody? We have a video here from Street TV, and they're interviewing Tariq Nasheed. All right, Tariq Nasheed of the Hidden Colors fame. He did some additional documentaries after that. Good to see the brother. Good to see the brother doing a lot of staying busy and stuff like that, staying active. Definitely making money. You know what I mean? And definitely is a voice, arguably a voice for the empowerment of black people. Now, he has he started an identity a couple years back called the FBA, and I think I would say it's pretty important for us as black Americans to kind of familiarize ourselves with search terminology. I'm gonna just kind of take it around the clock real quick. Have any of you guys ever heard of this FBA identity acronym, whatever?
I have not.
You have not? Okay,
no.
okay.
Yeah, so
me neither.
So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and check it out, see what they're talking about. Hold on a second. Here we go. All right.
the name FBA.
Yeah.
As initials, it doesn't even really flow well. Mm-hmm. And then when you actually say fundamental Black American,
foundational,
yeah, it's they see what I'm saying,
yeah.
And it's so. What is it about that such a difficult to remember collection of words that caused you to be comfortable to rest right there versus keep thinking it through and come with something else?
Foundational Black American. I use that term because it's a term that can't be remixed. See, people can kind of remix other terms, like African American. That doesn't describe the people of the lineage here. We come from a specific lineage. Descendants of slaves, descendants of freedmen. We are the foundation of America. So if you say a person is an African American, an immigrant from Nigeria who comes over here is an African American. Charlize Theron, who was from South Africa, she's an African American. So a lot of people can remix African American. People can remix Negro. People can remix colored. So a lot of these terms that were used to describe us, a lot of people can latch on to it, and that's been a problem. Foundational Black American is a term that cannot be remixed. You're only talking about one group. There's only one group of Black people who built this country from scratch, and that is us, the descendants of freedmen, foundational Black Americans. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people kind of have a problem with the term. They somehow accuse us of being divisive, but it's no, we're just looking at our lineage.
Correct.
We have a specific lineage that we're acknowledging, especially when we're discussing the need of getting reparations, because there's a big reparations movement right now.
That was the next word on my list. Go ahead, keep
Yeah,
talking.
and when people see that we're making traction with this reparation thing, because we have the political class talking about it, it's on the table. They're openly acknowledging it. So for a long time, when we talk about reparations, the conversation got smacked down. Like,
Exactly.
shut up. And you ain't got to get nothing. And everybody kind of laughed at us.
Like the concept of a black president.
Right. Now that we got some traction, you got a lot of other people saying, well, damn, if they get reparations, hell, I'm kind of African-American too. Can I qualify? And we're saying, hey, let's wait a minute. We're not going to have race-based reparations. We're going to have lineage-based reparations. So we're really focused on our lineage. So that's where the term foundational Black American comes into play, and that's why it's so effective.
2-part question.
Yeah.
Okay, so lineage-based reparations. That's reparations based on your lineage to America, not necessarily just your skin complexion, right? So so Chuck, I mean, I don't know how do I put this? I don't know how long you kind of been in the game as far as like higher thinking of thought or like conscious thought and stuff like that, but or reparations talk for that matter. But how long have you kind of like been hearing about this whole reparations movement? Like, is this like a new thing for you, or
So I'm 55 years old. I've been hearing it my whole life.
reparations? Huh?
Reparations, yeah. So my come of age was in not even really, my adolescence was in the 70s, growing up and becoming aware. Let's say 79, 80, and that was during a period of Black Power, or a black movement that was like none other. Not to denounce the ones that came before us and anything, but that's when we started to think about who we were in America as a people. This country is a country of immigrants from everywhere. You understand? We were never immigrants. We were brought over here for the sole purpose of the help in the success with the production of whatever crop there were, or all over the world, really. But here in America, more than anywhere else, and more harshly than anywhere else, we built this country, man. Our ancestors built it, and what this brother is saying is extremely important.
Real quick, it's not just that we built it, but we also opened the floodgate for everybody else to come in, especially melanated people.
For everybody to come in and step right over us like a welcome mat.
That's tough.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Isn't that amazing?
So what do y'all kind of think about like the delineating as far as setting ourselves apart from the other groups in order to have this conversation regarding reparations? Because again, you just said it, we was we built this country, but it's some people, I mean, especially guys in amongst the FBA, are making an argument that we need to know exactly who are the children of the people that built this country, instead of just letting everybody eat from this reparations ticket, this reparations ballot, right? So do you think it's necessary for us to kind of do all this delineating and separating ourselves statistically from the rest of melanated people that are okay? Let me just be a little bit more direct. Do you think it's necessary to delineate or separate ourselves statistically and from our brothers and sisters from Africa that found themselves here through choice?
Yes, but we got to be careful. Without a doubt, like I said, I agree with that, because this is a country of immigrants, and we were never immigrants. We was here, and we are a very specific group, like no other. And these days with the technology, it's kind of easy to go back and see who your master was during that time. So yeah, I mean. But there's also Jamaican Americans here, Haitians trying to come here, but it wasn't the American slaves, but they were still slaves in Jamaica with sugarcane, or
Yeah.
in France,
France, yeah.
at some point before they revoked it, and it's today Haiti. My heart's bleeding for them too. I mean, I would want them to have some, but they're not American. So I think it's very important that we identify and separate and specify the group of people who should be receiving reparations.
Gotcha. Jay, you kind of both ends of this, right? Like you part FBA, part immigrant. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember you got some lineage from Jamaica. Like what's kind of your position on this?
Well, Jamaica definitely owe reparations from England, so I mean that's a whole nother battle they got to fight.
Yeah.
And while we up here, we got to deal with this. So I mean, I definitely agree. We do need to be exact. Like I feel like with everybody who wants reparations, because everybody who wants reparations up here, if they want to go through that way, we should be able to, prove our lineage. Provide birth certificates dating back to a certain date. I mean, we can only do so much because like when it comes to our birth records, it's a chance that we could run into a dead end before we get to prove where we come from back in 1865 or wherever. But as opposed to white people, because they can pull back their lineage to the medieval times down there. But us is way harder. But
Yeah, because they didn't been documenting themselves for that long.
Exactly.
And, they ain't been documenting us, but they said they have been documenting. They said there's old books telling you where each slave and where they came from and tribe. They said they can kind of narrow it down if they truly want to, but it's just a lot of little hassle they don't really care to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But they said they can, especially when you find your slave master. They have receipts of saying where they bought their slaves, purchases. So that's how you kind of can find out where you kind of really came from, like your start of your bloodline.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because everything was documented in their ledgers. Because everything shows every purchased slaves, how much they paid for you. All those documents are still present to this day. They can still be looked at.
As well as transit slip tenders, man. They recorded the slaves that they had on as cargo on their ships. There's a lot of documentation. That's why I say especially today, because today there are companies who are private companies who specialize in your DNA heritage and as well as informational. Looking for those records that you just mentioned. Wow, it's a lot. It's a lot of information, man. I think that could be done.
Well, if you have a last name, depending on your last name, you go find your family crest. Once you kind of find your family crest, you can kind of find your white side of your family tree, and then you can kind of break it down and it leads to the black side, and you start seeing those certain relations when people had did a little bit of raping.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and continue with this conversation with the Tariq Nasheed on the StreetTV.net podcast.
And Flora Shaw, I think his name, a white woman from Europe, named that country Nigeria. So a lot of folks don't know that a lot of these names that are thrown on people, these are names that were given by the white supremacists anyway.
I got a word I need you to define for me, because I follow you and I feel like I'm not supposed to be acceptive of this class of people, but I don't really know what they are. What are tethers?
Tethers, those are
You knew what I was going to say.
Yeah, I knew you were about to say the tethers. Yeah, tethers. Those are people who are non-FBA who try to undermine us. They try to pretend to be us in order to infiltrate us and undermine us. So you have a lot of people who might look like us. They black with an afro. But when we go down to have some kind of political conversation about getting reparations, they'll pop in and say, "Hey, we don't need no reparations. We need to stop being so lazy."
Candace Owens?
Yeah. Then we start looking around like, who the fuck man is this? Who's that? And nobody knows who the fuck this person is. We find out the person is foreign. That's the tether. So, but not all people who are foreign are tethers. Let's get that straight, because a lot of people, a tether is basically a foreign coon.
Okay.
That's the best way to describe it.
Okay.
A coon with a passport.
Do they have to have an accent or just?
No. A lot of them, that's what makes them a good tether.
So real quick, I think y'all get what he said, the whole meaning of this tether thing.
Yeah.
Y'all think this byword is necessary?
Yeah.
You call them that. I mean, I don't really care, but that's what they are. They telling they're attaching themselves to you for a negative purpose to try to, like you said, to undermine you. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of black people in that space because they say they black, they can speak. But then you do a little research and like, well, you're black, but you're not you didn't go, your family didn't go through what I went through, so you don't, that's why you don't feel a need to or care, and you don't say that. And then the whole thing, because most foreigners get assistance. That's why they feel like that. They don't come here and just do all this hard work. And if you come here the proper way, you get proper assistance. Now, when you do things the illegal way, you don't get assistance. But when you come and do the proper due diligence, you get all the good loans, all this to help you find. It's the same with us. If American citizens go to different countries, right, they have plans for you. Like if you come here, we give you $60,000, give you a house. That's what people do to get you to come to their country to boost the economy. And a lot of foreigner people got that, but they just kind of act like, no, we worked hard, we did. No, you really didn't. You got good assistance.
Like there's been studies and stuff like that showing that Black Americans just aren't treated the same as like immigrants and stuff like that. And when you kind of pair that up with like things like affirmative action, they'll sometimes they kind of double up on like the okay, that this person's an immigrant and he's melanated or black. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna make us look extra good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, on the books here.
So yeah,
because they get grants for taking in so many black people. Then they can say we can get 2 categories for one. Oh, he's black and an immigrant, so we get double the funds from him. So you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So they will allow you to come to the school just because they get all these tax cuts and shit like that. It's just another way to work the system. Yeah. And then you got regular Americans getting mad. Well, that's racist. That's this and that because they don't get this and that. And it's not. It's just the problem is with those people is they just want the little breaks, but your life was already easy. All this, you got most of that stuff you didn't need. Like you have the Asian community getting mad about their affirmative action, but they don't really need that shit. They just mad because it's certain black people can get those spaces and they're not allowed those seats in the school. And that's all that shit was, bro. You go to any fucking school you want to. You can, you know what I'm saying? Like it's different.
Yeah, it is real quick, but and some of those Asians actually receiving the blunt end of losing affirmative action. So so many of them fought so hard to get rid of it. And now there's been some of them actually kind of came out and said, yo, this is a mistake for us. We missing out now, right? What you finna say, Chuck?
Well, I think you just answered. I didn't know. What I thought was affirmative action was kind of abolished.
No, it was only for schools.
It just got abolished.
Now it's abolished. No, it was abolished in schools. They eliminated race being a determined one of the determining factors as far as set kids in schools. In schools, period. Yeah.
All because of one Asian kid didn't get into Harvard.
It was a collective effort.
It was that one dude doing all that bitching. It was one dude doing all that bitching. He was like, the black kid got in because he's black, but I can't get in because I'm Asian. That doesn't make sense. I need the baby to get in because I'm Asian.
Yeah, I can't remember that. Yeah. But
the kid's name was John Wayne.
I think at that time what was happening, man, was a little bit more sinister than it appears because, a lot of Asian students don't really have a hard time. A lot of them, I don't know because I haven't done any research of the ones who don't, but most of them get accepted in a lot of colleges and universities around the world, man. Students. I think that the situation for a lot of young white ladies, young white girls trying to go to school, affirmative action was sort of in a very small way a deterrent for a group of them, and they used the Asians to speak up to a fight. Hey, I was looking at this, man, and it was pretty blatant and clear that they were using these guys to really speak up and about the negativities of affirmative actions to abolish it from that particular school, and I think it was too. Yeah. I'm gonna go back and take a look at that.
Yeah, I did a pretty substantial amount of research into like the ordeal regarding like John Wayne specifically, but also just like kind of like the entire conversation as a whole. But it's pretty much as we already kind of spelled it out already. Asians are like very smart, right? And they and because of that, they are very, very well represented in schools despite their relatively small population density, right? White people. Now, what I find interesting is the how they would. How do I put this? The way how they kind of typically compare the numbers to get Asians on the side of fighting against affirmative action is by way of comparing their numbers to black people. You know what I'm saying? Whereas there's been it's like what they would do. I wasn't really prepared for this conversation, but so what they would do is there would be a conversation between the student and then the person, like I guess the representative, right? I'm gonna release a video on this a little bit later. But like the representative would tell them like, okay, well, as an Asian American, these schools are, I mean, and these is going off of like statistics and data and stuff like that. It's not necessarily like this is not coming from the school specifically, right? This is just a bunch of like, okay, according to my data, according to my projections type conversations. They will say, okay, this school has this many Asians. Well, actually, I'm giving them a little bit too much charity. They won't even talk about the population size at all. They will just tell these students this. Okay, you as an Asian have a 5% chance of getting in. However, if you are a black person, and that's because of this is me speaking, that's because of the population, the low population of blacks in that specific school, they would tell these students, you would have a 80% chance of getting in school if you were a black person. You know what I'm saying? Where again, there's a lot going into that conversation as far as why that would be the case. It's not just a race thing. It's actually like, again, it's a lot going into it. A lot of it specifically to do with the way these people were raised, where they come from, and even though it's not a claim made by reparationists, right? It's not something that was brought up as a placeholder for reparations to any effect. It was just something that was instilled by freedom fighters and people that want better for Black Americans, but was ultimately watered down to include everybody.
Yeah, and it was a form of protection, because at some point in America, I think that's a conversation for another day. But we had a lot of things coming after we were freed with Abraham Lincoln's thing, and it was all taken back through the immigration movement and other things. And this was one of the forms of protection they put in. But we definitely gonna break that down a little bit further in the conversation. But let's go ahead and continue on. You got a minute left ish.
When they get rid of the accent and they can pretend to be a foundational Black American, those are the.
Candace is an FBA, but so where does she fall?
No, because Candace identifies as Caribbean. Because of people who they're from like St. Thomas.
Yeah, she don't identify as black. She definitely identifies as Caribbean, descended from the islands.
Caribbean, yeah. She claimed Caribbean. But she does have a lot to say about Black,
That's retarded, because if you claim to be Caribbean, you can exclude yourself from this conversation, but y'all went through the same thing down there.
Oh, real?
Slavery.
Interesting.
Slavery.
Oh, go ahead.
Like people slavery in the Western world was all the same all over. You know what I'm saying? It's like your people came from that shit too. So you can't just be
transatlantic.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just exclude yourself from us.
She excludes herself because she believes her father came here and worked hard and didn't have no government assistance. He lied to her.
Yeah. That's what she would say, but I think she's doing it because she's getting paid by people to tell her to say that.
That makes it even worse.
Of course it does. Of course it makes it worse.
I can't really sit up here and try to question her fucking logic. Candace is Candace. Shit. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. I say what I said, don't I?
Yeah.
You have an FBA that acts like a tether. They're not a tether, though.
No, well, they're just
Tether
coon.
type.
That's just a coon.
That's a coon.
Yeah, that's just a coon.
Okay.
Like a Justin Lee Peterson, he's from like the South, but he's just.
Have you ever
He
had that experience?
Isn't that amazing?
To set up in front of him?
Oh yeah, a few times. Yeah. Oh yeah. You haven't seen
that. Did you spank him?
No. What did I gave? I gave him a coon award. I literally gave him. You got to see that. Y'all got to.
That's classic.
Okay.
Yeah, I gave him an award for being. Oh yeah. No, he's an OG coon. I had to give him his flowers for being.
Tell me this, off camera.
He knows he. That's the thing. I can
Off camera behind the scene, is he that?
Yes,
he's
still
that
cool.
much of that.
He's been in my house before. He was in one of my
So
movies.
he is one of us.
He's the for real. He's not. It's not play coon. He was at my house. We were. I had him in Hidden Colors 5, I think. And he got to my house. He was like, "Hey, Nasheed, this is a real nice house." I was like, well, "Thank you." He said, "If all these other blacks weren't so lazy, they can be like you." I'm like, "Damn, nigga."
Damn.
I knew you was this shit like
Still in
that.
character, bro.
My crew, my camera crew was like, "Is he for real?"
No, he wasn't. He saw the cameras.
No, they weren't filming yet. This was
Yeah,
before they were
that's-
filming.
I can't believe this dude can really be that dude.
Man, it's some Uncle Ruckuses out here.
Ruckus
dude.
in the
Wow,
flesh.
Uncle Ruckus.
Uncle
Ruckus
Ruckus
is
in the
Uncle Ruckus.
flesh. Why did they do that, bro? Yeah, man. So any final words about the FBA movement and how they kind of move, and like this tether processing and just the whole terminology, not the terminology, but the whole thought process, the whole how they kind of plan on how they go about.
I mean, it's acceptable. I mean, it makes sense. Only people that's going to be butthurt about it is the people that's going to get excluded because they're trying to, like you say, tether yourself to it, but you really didn't have nothing to do with it. But the problem is the whole thing is slave reparations. I don't think we're really going to get that because we didn't go through that. But black people have a better chance of fighting for Jim Crow reparations and stuff like that. And the things that
Redliner.
the redliner stuff that went on through the 60s, 70s, 80s, and the 90s. You can get that because that's what we went through.
It's more recent.
So that's more recent. You're
It's-
not going to get the
it's-
slaves. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So if we actually argue what actually happened to us, like, because that's what white people. That's how they kind of get white people to be mad about it. They say reparations for slaves, but it's not really reparations for slaves. It's reparations for all the shit you niggas did to us, all of it, motherfuckers. But they get like, we wasn't slave, but you motherfuckers racist about 40 years ago.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? These are who y'all are, and they hate when you throw it in their face because y'all was just shitty people, and y'all don't want to have to pay for the mistakes of the past. But this is what y'all have done to us. Like, this is, y'all literally have done this shit for fucking like almost 1,000 years of fucking with niggas. Okay, just 1,000 years of just, and y'all act like we ain't do shit to y'all. Yes, you did. Like, you really did. Any other body else, motherfuckers would burn this bitch to the ground. But we keep trying to learn how to live with you motherfuckers. But
It's crazy that we in 2024 and like the Crown Act, that's still under fire. You know what I'm saying? Like Shorty in was it Texas? They suspended him from high school. He can't go to prom. He can't go to school because he got dreads. You know what I'm saying? Like, we in 2024 and people still arguing about dreads in school. We fighting about it. They damn near pass it up here when it comes to like in the workplace.
yeah.
But he in high school and they giving him a hard time about it.
Because it's Texas and they still under that type of government, you niggas look the way we want you to look, nigga.
Exactly.
You don't want, you know what I'm saying? And that's just that's what that shit comes down to. An employee should never have the right to tell you how you look outside of like what you should dress, like how you supposed to come, like if you wearing slacks or jeans or a certain type of fucking shoes. But my hair or my facial hair, as long as it's neat, clean, whatever the case may be, we should be okay.
Shouldn't be no problem.
It shouldn't be no problem. It shouldn't, you know what I'm saying? But outside of that, a person doesn't have the right to tell you your fucking how you supposed to look throughout your life because he pays you. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with all that, and I think that both of those are strong reasons to fight for reparations as far back as we could go. Man, I mean, seriously, there's been a lot of damage, both physically and mentally. I don't even know if there's a such thing as generational mental health.
No, it is.
Is
They
it?
lived
So
up. That
it's
is
like-
the thing. They said
Yeah,
what
so-
they've done to us through slavery,
Yeah.
Jim Crow, they fragmentally broken our DNA. Like,
Yeah,
you can
absolutely.
literally pass trauma onto your kids. Like, I actually told them one
Well,
time.
hold on, just yeah. I mean, don't go no. Just let him know what.
No, I'm just
he was
telling
making a
you.
point. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, but that is the point. I mean, we should fight for reparations, man. I mean, and we should, list all of those things you mentioned. I mean, Jim Crow was so damaging. Redlining still to this day is damaging. Just snatching generational wealth from a group of people. Man, we came up here. We came up here to seek better conditions from the South through the Great Migration.
Yeah, that was in the
And-
50s. Was in the 50s, 40s, right? 1950s,
The Great
1950s.
That started
Migration,
in the 30s.
when people moved from the south to the north. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like fresh out of us. What's that thing
The
called?
Great Depression.
Great Depression, yeah.
Yeah, sharecroppers and stuff. Those are like the sharecroppers moving up there when they
Well,
started
yeah,
instead of
it
like
was-
machinery instead of I'm sorry, they was replacing the machinery. They was replacing the people, the workers with machinery, and they went up north to look for more opportunities. At least
Well,
that's part of the reason.
Yeah, that's because there was quite a few.
That's
reasons.
supposed to be the true definition of a migrant, too.
Yeah, I noticed. Yeah, I saw that video too. That's a good
I
point.
tell you this, we got here right here in the city of Chicago, Pullman, East Pullman, that community right there where Mr. Pullman, the train guy, hired a whole bunch of blacks running from the South to get a job specifically with Pullman. He built housing for them over there and everything still exists to this day. These guys work underpaid to their white counterparts anywhere. They were actually pioneers in train cart specialization, and they did their jobs. They were able to grow and move on. That kind of opportunity was all over the city of Chicago, all over the United States at the time for those coming from the South to the North. So it brought thousands of them in. But the point of the matter is they had to. They were running from lynchings. They were running from quite a few things, not just the sharecropping, but man, tyranny. Yeah, I mean they everything that they build. You've heard about Tulsa, with the Black Wall Street thingy. That's been in the history book for years. It's really holding your foot on a group of people for over 400 years. And there need to be reparations for that.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, I remember reading about the Pullman Porters. I went to school in Samuel Gompers right there, and it is just crazy. Like they do so much to keep their foot on our necks, but but don't want to admit to that stuff. They planning on building like a water park on top of Lake Lanier, right?
Yeah.
In Georgia, you heard about that?
Yeah, and no, they didn't build it on Lake Lanier. They built it next to it.
I said they planning. I said they was planning, but yeah.
They built it right next to it because everybody's still going to die right there. People will still go over there and mysteriously die. They just need to leave that shit alone.
Really?
But and that shit is a problem. But white people don't see it as a problem. They go, "That's my ancestors. Everybody did this to everybody." No, they didn't. You bitches. No, they didn't. It wasn't like that for everybody. But it is what it is.
Yeah. I agree. Like the only thing I was just kind of say is not getting reparations for slavery is just what I mean to say is getting reparations for redlining, Jim Crow, the what is that era called, the Reconstruction era. Geez, dude, like it's some more stuff as well. Yeah, like the more recent things that kind of happened that likely happened to maybe your parents or maybe even dating back to your grandparents if you want to really stretch it back. Yes, of course, those things will be easier to make a claim for. But I mean, in my opinion, like the only thing that's different from that and like reparations from slavery is just one extra thing that you're gonna have to argue for. You got to just explain to people causality. And that should be enough, but like the problem with that is I mean everybody in this room understand it's not that hard to understand. Like if you can make money, if you can inherit money from your parents, you have to deal with the debt of your parents, then like this reparations thing should like click just like that for you. But if you're just gonna be the type of person that's just gonna be racist, right? That's gonna be extremely antagonistic against black people and reparations. Yeah, you're gonna take any like low hanging fruit possible to find a way to not pay people what's owed to them. You know what I'm saying?
Excuse yourself. Yeah.
So it's just it's unfortunate that we are gonna have to just possibly take what's available for right now, but like it's not complete reparations until we get that restitution for unpaid labor, right? Yeah. So anyway, Appreciate you all for stopping with us. This has been Tariq Nasheed. And for the most part, I do like the idea of delineating. I think this is a very necessary process. No disrespect against immigrants and stuff like that, especially the melanated immigrants. I would say that each and every immigrant has should make their own individual claim with who owes them money. You know what I'm saying? But it's just that, and here in America, Black Americans, that separation is gonna be that statistical separation is going to be necessary to make sure we get every dime that's entitled to us. All right. So again, I don't think the FBA movement is particularly xenophobic movement. There has been some. But it has been some. This will be really brief. I do notice that there's been some riffraff going online and stuff like that. But there's understanding each and every person that represents that hashtag is a different person. What are you going to say, Savage?
Now, if you want to include the foreign black people, like the ones that come here by choice, they do technically qualify for the Jim Crow stuff and the red line of certain things of those natures. They do get stuff like that because they still have to, even though they was foreigners, they were still black, so they were still treated like a nigga when they came here. So they still had to deal with certain, like with Jim Crow, not slavery, but they had to go through Jim Crow shit too. You know what I'm saying?
I would say it depends primarily on when their family got here.
That's what I'm saying. If your family came in here like the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, through that time period, you technically qualify. Now they came here in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Late 90s, 80s. 90s going 2000s. You don't get nothing. You don't get nothing. But if you came into that time period of Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and a little bit before that, you can kind of fit yourself in there with your family. But if you didn't come in, if you came in after all that and you trying to get this just because you're black, no.
Yeah, I think the Immigration Act, assisted by Martin Luther King, came in about like 1964. So that's like around the time that where a lot of the African immigrants kind of came in. And
then technically they qualified it. To a certain extent, they qualify.
It just depends if they got here.
Yeah, depending when they got here. If they came in the 1970s, they had to deal with that, but they did get certain things. They did get certain loans and stipends. They were supposed to. I'm gonna say that they were supposed to. Now when they got here and what they didn't get, they probably didn't get it. Depending on how white people treated you, you came to that bank saying, "Well, I'm this, that, and I'm supposed to get this." That bank can still be racist to you and still mistreat you.
I gotta disagree.
Okay.
I say, yeah, that's true if they came in the 1930s, maybe. Okay. But if they came after or during the Martin Luther King movement, I think they had to deal with more or less the emotional racism, but they didn't have to deal with any physical.
But this is financial racism, though, right? Yeah. Because I can see it though. I can see them being essentially paired up with black people as far as because they came to, they said they had the Africa towns embedded in in black towns and stuff like that. And
they separated from themselves. Yeah, they did. But
within the black communities, but these were still in red line districts, right? These are still in places that these banks deemed. Not what would they call that? Like unsafe to do business with. You know how that red line kind of thing kind of work. They created these red lines. These quote unquote these sections on the map where they deemed problematic territory zones where they believe that the people that lived within these zones were more difficult to do business with or more problematic to do to give loans to because they were quote unquote. I had a higher rate of not paying their money back. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like the basic overall premise of like the rail line. And if these Africans, if these immigrants of all shapes and sizes and colors were living in these zones, then that was going to pose a problem for when they not just when they purchase property or for being going to banks to be loaned money to, but also for when they get their houses appraised and stuff like that.
Oh, that happens a lot. Yeah,
And that's been going on like even in recent years, right?
Yeah, that still happens to this day.
Yeah,
It doesn't stop.
You know, but the thing, see that, and this is strictly observation. You know, coming from my youth. But I can go to pretty much any part. I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with far north, like Winnetka and Wilmette,
Yeah,
very
I know what you're
Jewish,
talking about.
very rich areas.
Yeah,
And
most
you can
Jews.
go in there and find a African restaurant, but you will never find a soul food restaurant or
That's true.
you know, that type of thing. So it was like, yeah, they had to deal with race. I guarantee you they did. I had to deal with a lot of racist crap, but they wasn't looked at exactly like Black
us,
Americans. They were looked at as African Americans who were different and, you know, hardworking and not lazy. And I'm sorry.
I mean, that's what they did.
Yeah. So.
And that's what they believe, you know. And they believe that, you know, 'cause they feel we waste opportunities.
True. Okay, well, so like I said, I would say that. Hold on. Yeah. So I don't know. I would say that if they have a claim, that where they people were in one of these in these zones, or if they have a claim at all that can be backed up with like receipts and whatnot, then hey, bring it forward, then they might be able to qualify for a specific section of the reparations package. But the reparations package is like it's taking on many forms right now. Like it's being done by the state by state basis. Like there's no federal push for like there's no federal there's no. Well, I'm pretty sure there's been bills that's been presented in Congress or presented in a federal manner so that it can be handled like nationwide instead of just, you know, stateswide. But all I'm just trying to say is if you have the receipts, then by all means present it, and you will likely be a part of that. I would imagine that you'd be a part of that reparations package as well. But obviously you won't. Obviously your family won't be able to benefit from everything that's on those tickets, like especially something like slavery, obviously. So it's been Chicago Black Delegation podcast. Appreciate y'all tuning in.